Good evening, one and all. I'm so privileged to be here with the brilliant writer, Saharu Nusaiba Kannanari, who has just won Atagalata BLF Book Prize 2024, and a week before, Crossword Book Prize 2024. Congratulations, Saharu.
Thank you.
How do you feel? I remember the days when my debut novel, Valli, was shortlisted for JCB Award for Literature and some other awards. How do you feel the recognitions on winning the awards and getting all the recognitions? I know you are different.
No, I'm not different. I do feel very happy personally, and also for the friends and family and the publishers and editors who have been who have worked on this book brilliantly as they did. I also think that, however, the shortlist was pretty strong, both at the crossword and here, and I think that the other writers also have deserved to win the award. I just got lucky. I think. I've been a very lucky person in all my life.
That's nice. That's wonderful. And I think many of you have already read Chronicle of an Hour and a Half. I have tons of questions for Saharu, I think, but we have only half an hour. They must have given us an hour and a half.
I think we have 25 minutes.
Only 24 minutes, 36 seconds now remaining. And I think I will straight come into the questions. The novel, the debut work, which you have presented this year to the world, I was amazed by the craft, the playing with the words, and also a subject you have chosen. And in an hour and a half, and through, I think, 200 pages, you have depicted and unfolded the story of a village, Vaiga, an imaginary village in Western Ghats. And I think I am more interested in your women characters, the strong female characters in this novel, and also the way you depicted the story, the way you unfolded the story, and the presentation style. That is like first-person narrative presented by each and every characters, right? This style we can see in Faulkner, and in Malayalam, V.J. James is here. I have seen this style used by V.J. James in his famous novel, Dattabaharam, The Call of the Forest. And I want to know from you and even the audience, what prompted you to write or start writing this beautiful novel?
There is no special compelling reason why I write a certain novel. I decided that I want to write novels, and I'm hunting for themes to write novels. What happened was that I wrote three, and none of it got published. And I decided to, turn up again with another submission, which I wanted to finish quickly. And this is what I did. Even though, as it progressed, I understood that it was structurally far more demanding than my desire to finish it quickly, but somehow, because there were multiple narrators, the novel was conceived to be short, etc. And the fact that there were 15 or 16 narrators helped me evade tinkering. And tinkering is a very essential part of novel writing. You end up narrating lots of stuff which are not quite needed there. In that sense, the multiple narrators essentially helped me, gave me the discipline, and both discipline and liberty to finish it as quickly as I hoped. Secondly, Vaiga is not as such an imaginary village. It's the name I had given to my own village. Since Indians, the hurt is a national ideology. So I thought that I just wanted to offset the hurt. And I decided that I would call it Vaiga. but there's no such imaginary village called Vaiga in my town.
It's real.
It, it's real in the sense the characters are not real, but the place, the geography, the river, all these are quite native to me. And this is one reason why I could also engage the geography very, very well. It's very difficult to engage geography unless you are very familiar with it. And only few writers are adept at engaging geography. Like, Cormac McCarthy did that in Blood Meridian, which is one of the greatest pieces of fiction in terms of geographical description. But he spent at least 4 or 5 years just going back and forth between the deserts, between Mexico and the United States. So yeah, the geography was available to me in the most realistic form out there. I just had to call it with another name. So I called it Vaiga.
Right. And how long did it take to complete this work?
8 months, something like that.
Only 8 months.
I write pretty quickly. Yeah. I mean, I spend a lot of time writing, so it's different. I mean, if somebody is taking 3 years, 4 years, I suppose that either the novel is too long, or the person isn't spending his entire day or her entire day on the novel. So in that sense, even though people say 8 months, 10 months, they show surprise, but the fact is that I spend a lot of time writing. And I'm not a very intelligent person. I just have to work and rework and rework, and I do that very diligently. So, yeah.
And I think you have gone through the inner thoughts or inner feelings of each and every characters. Although there are few main characters, how did you achieve that? Like, it's not it's not just telling the story, but you are drawing the real pictures of the life of the village. How did you?
The problem with the first person narrative, especially writing in India, is that, for example, if you are an American or an English writer elsewhere, you can actually give a local dialect or slang, or introduce that slang to the narrator's voice. In India, there is no such slang exists, and it eventually becomes so each person who talks, even though they character wise they may appear different, but their language is not as different as people are telling me. And this is what I think. I mean, Emerson said that Shakespeare could tell apart in a child's face, the mother's and father's hearts. You ought to be able to do that, but I'm I'm a minor figure. I'm a minor anchovy in a vast ocean of sharks and whales, etc.
That's wonderful. And he gave me 5 children, and then he rested, like God after creation. This is the wonderful opening sentence of Chronicle of an Hour and a Half. And I think the most favorite character in this novel is Nabisuma. I just wanted to ask you, how much of this novel is autobiographical, and is Nabisuma as your mother?
No, it's not my mother. My mother's name is Nusaiba. So Nabisuma and Nusaiba, if somebody hears that or sees that, people might take it to mean that no, this is my mother. But my mother has no connection with it. The house is mine, though. I mean, it was a very leaky house that I found myself in. But my mother, even remotely, isn't similar to Nabisuma, either psychologically or in terms of material conditions. She lived a very different life and retired as a supervisor at ICDS in 2016. Yeah, but I also think it's very amoral. So Iris Marburg once said that, and I agree with her, that it's very amoral, whatever you call it. It's very amoral to use people in your real life for fictional purposes, and I really believe in that. I don't engage people in my life, with an intention to transport them to my writing. This is a very immoral thing to do, and I wouldn't do that. And also, I would have obscured if there was a connection between my mother and this woman. this character Nabisuma, I would have obscured it. At least I would have used another name, which is not,
Yeah,
a
not
bit
related.
similar. Yeah.
And when you say that, I will say that, about Rehana. Rehana is, you're saying that Rehana is milky white, and and his husband.
She calls herself, so she sees herself in her lover's body, her lover's eyes,
Nice.
and she says that, I could see in Bohan, her lover, I could see in Bohan's eyes my body in all its milk, because she is so fair. And one of her major gripes against her husband is that he's a very dark-skinned man, dark as a crow, dark as a magpie, etc., etc.
Yeah, kakke pole karkite. In Malayalam, it is saying kakke pole karkite in the
black as a crow.
And I want to ask you, the only one thing I have disagreement with you in these characters is that Rehana, who's a Gulf wife, that's the wife of a person working in the Gulf, is cheating her husband. And also there is Shahid. Shahid's wife ran away, right? She is also a Gulf wife. There is a stereotypical picturization of Gulf wives in Malayalam stories. Why did you follow the same tactic? Because I know, being in Gulf in more than 2 decades, lot of hundreds of thousands of Gulf wives, they are struggling to bring up their children and look after their home in the absence of their husbands. And is there any particular reason why they, because you are a very brilliant writer, then I'm doubting why did you follow the same stereotypical model?
It's a very difficult question because, well, you have a moral opinion about it, but the thing is, how do I answer that question? Well, I think that stereotype is a good occasion to, explore a story. The stereotype actually taking place. This is what I have done. There is no profound reason why I'm looking for the easiest exit. Yeah.
Okay. Then
so you could also ask me, why, without bringing in the girl factor, you could also ask me, why did you choose extramarital affair as such to trigger a mob, which is also, more or less. Yeah. So Malayalis live under this perpetual fear that someone other than me is having sex somewhere, and they have to stop it somehow. And I thought that, I would aid them in their effort.
That's perfect. And once I think you have written somewhere that Damu, maybe the character Damu, and which is the other character?
June.
Not June.
The Panjami.
Two students who are preparing for PSC.
Deepu and Gopu.
Deepu and Gopu. In their conversation, it is coming that those who are opposing this is actually, they want to do the thing, so they are opposing Burhan, who is in extramarital.
In the sense that those who want to kill Burhan for having an extramarital affair with a woman are themselves people who crave for,
doing the same.
Yeah, for sex with her. Yeah. What is it?
And they are not able to do it, so they are raising against Burhan. Is that a Malayali mindset you're focusing on?
Well, we will have to engage these questions very crudely. And the crude factor is that in India, sex is not accessible except through marriage to most vast number of population. And when sex is so regulated by the public, everybody becomes a police without wanting to be a police. Sexual policing is quite it's not a Kerala phenomenon. I think that I was telling Shrabonti, she's not here, but I was talking to her last May in Bangalore itself, where I was saying that the hotel I was saying did hand over me a specific prescription which said that no, don't bring in anyone else here. Which the hotel folks are afraid that I might have a friend in and have sex. And so it's not about Kerala. Even our urban scapes are quite riddled with this sexual policing, which ought to be a natural consequence of the regulation of sex. And it ought to be existing anywhere in the world where the regulations around who to have sex, who you have to have sex with.
And I think
One of the things that I had done in this novel is that I had exaggerated the age of Rehana. So the lady is 40 years old, and the man in question is 25 years old. I was just exaggerating too. So Don DeLillo once said that you have to exaggerate motive in order for fiction to deliver the drama. Because a realistic account of our life will have to consist of 24 hours. And human life is pretty slow on the surface. We seem to be sane as well, until we get inside our homes. So I consider literature, one of the things that interests me about human beings is that we do know how not to call each other out.
Okay.
We know each other very well, but we are so careful that we know the art of not calling each other out. And this is one thing about the sexual thing as well. I mean, we do know that it's a very animal need. I mean, you want to have sex with someone, and you can't have sex even as you're 30, you're 40. It's there ought to be a very serious material consequence for such an intense revelation of basic human needs. And I tried to exaggerate that in order to deliver the drama. And I'm sure that a woman, when she's older, has to assume a maternal role, and a woman who is seeking sex falls short of that. The figure of the woman our society has created, who is someone who sacrifices her life
for the family and
whose only devotion is to children. And it's a society where remarriage does not happen. And when remarriage happens, so even if you're married and your husband, let's say, dies, and you are 18 and he's 20, you will not be able to find a husband for that woman except by an age gap of 20-25 years, which is universally true across Kerala, across religions, and across castes. So this is in that society, that in that milieu that I'm setting my story.
Yeah, that's a revolutionary thing. Yeah. And I really liked the way you presented WhatsApp messages to for spreading hate. That's 100% what's happening right now in everywhere, right? And what about the title? When did you arrive at the title? Because as a writer, I'm curious about it. For me, title is something very difficult. I usually get the title after finishing, after editing, and after rewriting, and in the end only
I get a title even before I start out.
Really?
Getting a title early on resolves, half the problems of writing a novel, because it gives you a perfect sense of direction what the novel is about. You may, if you want, you can change the title after finishing it, but then getting your title early on gives you a perfect sense of direction. And the title was always there.
I think no other title is perfect for this novel. That's a perfect one.
Yeah.
And I really loved the way you showed the rain, and it's different moods, different variations of rains with spreading rumors. Sometimes it's whispering, sometimes it's shouting. And as a writer, I'm curious to know whether this setting was there in your first draft.
There was only one draft. And
one draft?
Yeah, I never have two drafts. I sent that draft out to I rewrite. So I go from first page to the last, one sentence to the next. It's never has happened that I came back to a sentence after 30 pages. So I'm slow in that sense, but also I'm rigorous in that sense. So I have to get something very right in order to move ahead. And if you get it wrong, the problem is that so the good thing about the learning that you receive. It's a benefit of writing, 2, 3 bad novels. If you write 2, 3 bad novels, you are absolutely sure about one thing, that you don't want to get this wrong, because it's very depressing to see that after 100 pages or after 200 pages, you realize that, oh God, this isn't working. That's a very depressing kind of feeling. So I have to have a very clear idea about the major characters who are going to populate the novel, about the beginning and about the ending. And those with discipline, I think that novel also comes in perfect sentences. Yeah. And it's like any other work. Faulkner was very, very fond of saying that, it's like carpentry. Yeah. What happened? Yeah, I don't know. And it's like carpentry. You fit, it's just another work. Yeah. And there is nothing esoteric about writing fiction. It's a hard work. It ought to be understood that if you're writing fiction, you are spending a lot of time sitting down and thinking, and looking at the screen. And this is a very serious meditation on blank screen. Sometimes it doesn't come for 3 months, 2 months. But even when something isn't coming, you can always review what you've already written. And that's an endless process. So it's a lifetime commitment. If you're doing if you write novel, occasionally, then you will end up writing novels which can also be read only occasionally. Okay. And this could be the first question, but I'm asking in the end. Could you tell us about only 4.5 minutes? Yeah, audience, you have any questions?
My question was, I love the book, and so we never hear about the two important their perspectives in the story, the two men Burhan and the husband, Rehana's husband. So we hear about all the women's narratives, the town, everything that happens on that day, but we don't hear about those men and their what was their day like, or what was their thought process, and why did you choose not to have the men's perspective in the book?
Developing Sadiq's character would have made me dwell on the chemistry of the relationship between Rehana and Sadiq, and I did not want Rehana as a victim. I wanted Rehana as a victim in the sense, in the particular event, in the context of the particular event of that setting, that is mob lynching and an extramarital affair. The problem, Rehana is an imperfect victim in that sense. So Rehana doesn't have a very strong case against her husband. Rehana is an extremely color conscious person. She also, Burhan, though I cut him out because it would have gotten a bit sentimental. So you have to just strive away from sentimentality. So Burhan was never on my mind, but I could have considered the husband of Rehana, Sadiq, but then I decided that it wouldn't simply work, because it would have offered more clarity on Rehana as a person, and Rehana could be only more troubling as a person as you explore her, because a person who has such strong opinions about the skin color of her husband ought to be even more complex as we delve on and on. Usually marriages between fair skin and dark skin happen in a context of sheer financial difference, where a financially rich dark skinned man leverages his situation in order to marry a fair woman. So in that sense, Sadiq in himself is a major victim of the society, which has very strong skin color preferences, and even though people don't tell it often. So it would have led me to a territory where I would have to be truthful to Sadiq as well, not from the Rehana's perspective, but from Sadiq's perspective himself, which would have complicated the narrative and also which wouldn't have, as I said, which would have alienated the special context in which I wanted to set Rehana in. Yeah, these are the two reasons. But, and eventually there were already 15, 16 narrators. It would have become 18 or 19. That would have been. I was already afraid that no, it was getting very chaotic. And yeah.
That's why I said he's a very brilliant writer. Any more questions? 1 minute remaining. Saharu, why didn't you write in Malayalam? Why did you choose?
Well, I did not like literature early on. I did not have, so I was not a good student. So I never ended up learning English language. So when I went to Aligarh, I started learning English by going into the library. And that's where I discovered literature. And I never consulted any grammatical aid in my life. So until my early 30s, you can just check it out. Until my early 30s, I still wrote very ungrammatical sentences, but that was the result of learning the language from the masters themselves. It's a very poor idea to learn English language from Faulkner.
Okay, that's fantastic. Any more questions?
Saharu, so why did you choose this technique of several characters talking in first person rather than going for third person?
Ought to have been the result of my fascination with the William Faulkner's as I lay dying. And secondly, I wanted to bring the village alive. So a crowd event is best described by, multiple narrators. This was my understanding. And I made an effort to work it out. This is the result.